Hi, I'm Bodie and today we're putting together and milling up some lumber for a bed frame to build a canopy, or actually a house bed, for my grandson. So with that, let's get started. So Ballard, how do you like your new bed? Today in the shop I have my buddy Larry from the church, and we're here in the church's wood shop, the Sawdust Brothers, so we can mill up some lumber. We have a couple pieces already milled up, clean, edged, and we're going to cut those up for panels. This are going to be posts for the bed. So we have yet to mill these up, and then we'll do a glue up. So we're going to get to that now. So we get to work milling up the stock. Take a couple of pieces and just do some edge trimming over there to get a couple straight edges together, and we flip it around so we can get the other edge parallel to it. Then we put it on the joiner, get one surface flush, get an edge flush, and then we do the regular thing with the planer to get it smooth. And we take it over for glue up. So here we're matching up pieces for the bedpost to get some 3x3 square posts. So after glue up, there's what they look like. We'll have to trim those down a little bit. So now I'll take one of the bigger pieces home to my bandsaw, put it on the bandsaw, cut it so I can resaw it to get some panels for the end pieces for the footboard and the headboard. Okay, so I'm unloading the lumber that I took to my shop to cut on the bandsaw, bringing it back up here so I can use the helical planer and joiner. It'll work a lot faster. So now we got them all rough cut. Now it's time to get to work. Then it was on to the joiner. So this is a big enough piece that we have to get the edge nice and flat and square on that one. So it took a little bit. Just keep trying to take off a little bit each time. So this is the footboard, and this is the glue up of the footboard. So we've got our clamps down, paper underneath it, and we have our clamps taped off so we don't get too much. So this is the part after the glue up where you have a little bit of ridge left on all your joints, so it's just easiest for me to get the hand plane out and smooth those out. This is a soft enough wood. It worked out faster than trying to run it through a sander or anything like that. So I made a sample board of colors. This first one was just a regular stain from Minwax penetrating ebony. This next one is a Java gel stain. It's a nice brown, but we're really looking for a black. I thought that was going to be it. It was not. And then the next one is a dye. And so we have this general finish dye stain that dyes it. And then we're going to do a combination next after we have all these boards together. You see the dye turns out the blackest, then that little brown. So the next group is going to be a combination of the two where we add one on top of the other. So at the very top then we have the stain, and then we have the stain plus the dye, then we have the Java plus the dye, then the Java, and then the Java plus the dye stain there, and the next one is the stain on top of the dye, and the last one is just the one coat of the dye stain. So that second one from the bottom is the one we're going to go with. It creates the darkest, being able to get both the undertones and the upper tones colored just right. So now I want to put my posts and cut them on miter saw. But I need to make sure they're all the same length, so I'm building a quick little jig to make sure I can cut them all the same length. Let me show you. Alright, so now we have this. at our designated spot, and now what we want to do is put the edge of this. So I've got this straight edge marked where this guy goes, and we're going to put 6 feet. Come to right there. So I'll push this up to meet there. That touches. Now I know that this is where I need to have my board firm screwed into there. So
after we get our measurement of our stop block, we screw in the panel to hold it in place for exactly 6 feet.
Remove that and that board. And we know there we're going to cut from there to the miter saw is 6 feet.
When you have something that's big and long and kind of awkward like a 6-foot post, even though you're only cutting 4 of them, it's best to make a stop block to get all of them precisely the same size.
So I'm using this bed frame fastener. Female part that goes into the post. This is the male part that goes into the rail. So we're trying to make a jig to make this fit. We have a 3/4 inch collar, of which our 1/2 inch drill bit will go inside. So the width we've cut is going to be 7/8 of an inch. And so we're going to glue these 2 guys into here for our width. So that allows 1/2 inch plus an 1/8 inch to cover the 5" width of the bracket. And then for the length of the opening, this is 4 1/8 inches. Your drill bit is a 1/2 inch, and then you have to allow for the collar is going to be a 1/4 inch more. So you want to make your opening in here 4 7/8 to be able to cut a 4 1/8 inch length opening.
I'm using CA glue here. It's the shop favorite for being able to make quick little jigs and something that you're not worried about being permanent. So I'll leave a link down below for you. So if you find yourself needing this, you know where you can get it.
If I'm off a little bit on this measure, I'll make sure I come down here the right length to be able to put the other piece. You can see I'm probably a little bit over right there. That's okay. Now I've got this other side marked. Now we have those 2 guys in. Now we can glue this guy on here. This guy we can just kind of slap on because we've already measured the other side. Okay. So now we have our jig put together. That should be able to produce us a mortise to our dimensions. We're going to do a test cut. Depth of the cut, which is going to be this 9/64. So I put it over here and then set my depth to the bottom of the board, and that should be equal to exactly that 9/64. So let's try it.
This is a sample cut into a off-cut sample piece.
Okay, so I got the right depth, but you can see I'm long. It fits well within the rounded corners, but we don't want that. So I figured I'm long by a 1/2 inch. So we'll see if we can adjust our jig so we only cut the right length.
So after I adjusted the jig, I cut another sample in the other side of this sample piece, and I squared up the corners and made sure that my frame piece fit in nicely. Here I am cutting the mortises a little deeper for the male portions of the hooks that slide into the other female pieces. And so this is a second jig that I made just to cut those 2 little tiny slots, a 1/4 inch wide by about a 1/2 inch long. So there's what that jig looks like. Again, on a sample piece to make sure it looks right. Voila, perfect. Got it right that time, but we can move on and cut the actual mortise in our actual post.
So here's my dry fit. That's the top. This would be the bed rail. It would come in here and slide down. So I decided to add a 3/8 inch round over on all the edges of my piece, other than the post, which I'm gonna have a 1/2 inch round over. But let's do that now.
So adding the round over on all of the parts makes it a nice smooth look, and this is particularly easier on little boys that will be jumping on the bed up and down and all about and throwing their toys and stuff. So we're going to make sure that we can make it as pleasant as possible when they bump their head or when things go bump in the night. Now on to cutting the bed rails. So these are the rails that will hook onto the post, and here's the jig that fits over the bed rail. There's a side view of our jig as it's clamped on there. Now we got to cut it in this vertical slot because the whole bed rail is 85 inches long. So now we just position it on the end, do the plunge, lock in the depth of the router, and then slide it 4 inches down to one end, down a little bit and back to make sure we get it cut the right depth. It was a challenge holding it in the right spot, but by golly, we got it. Now after we cut the mortise, on to squaring up the corners, getting that ready to fit our frame end piece. You can see me fitting that in there to make sure it fits nice and flush.
All right, I'm gonna cut the first mortise in the leg and see how it goes. That's the right depth. Round out the corners, it'll be the right length. All right, test fit. Get the exact width that we need. And once we round out the corners, it'll be the exact length.
Here's the sequence of how these bed connectors are done. First you shallow out the first depth for the hole for the size of the mortise. Then you do the holes for the depth of the hooks that go into the female end. And then finally you install those and you have the complete bed connector done.
This is a dry fit that Michael and I have. He's standing at the footboard, and we got the footboard down there, and we have the two posts down here. The headboard is not attached yet. Okay. And so far, so good. All right, this is the side rail, and what I've done is added a cleat that's going to be on the inside so the plywood can sit on top of here, and then the mattress goes on top of that. So the side rail already has our end fasteners on it. So we've put this cleat in here, we have glued it, and we've screwed it in. Now it's ready for finish.
To soften the feel and the look of the bed, we add a 1/2 inch round over to all the edges on all 4 of the posts.
All right, we got the first couple of posts with the black dye on it. So you'll see that it has some little pore spots in there. We'll come back with the stain and they'll take care of that to get this thing ebonized black. So this is the headboard after it has been dyed and then stained. So it's black, and then that's the trundle box frame that has also been dyed and then stained. I'll show you the front of it over here. And so when you get close, you can see the grain texture, but you can't see anything else because everything has been ebonized to be all solid black. So here's the bed dry assembled in our workroom. We don't have the top on yet because it won't fit in the ceiling. So we have it all assembled with a bed platform installed for the decking. So we don't have the headboard installed yet, nor do we have the trundle boxes assembled, but we'll do that at installation time.
Here's the underside of the trundle box and the little feet that I've made. We eventually will attach furniture sliders on top of these little feet to make it easy to slide on the carpet.
On the back of the bed, we just screwed in little cleats from the headboard into the side. So now we do that, take the clamps off. So we've got that side and that side ready to go. And here is the owner of the bed. Tell us your name. Here is the trundle part of the bed from the underneath side. And there it is. All right, here's the bed with the trundle going in. Slides in.
Sleepovers.
Okay. And here's what the bed looks like. The canopy bed top will be made after we get the ceiling fan raised up some.
This is a shot of the middle beam support that goes underneath the bed.
We've installed the middle beam support underneath the bed so it fits underneath here, and it's screwed in 4 spots down there. So we have our middle support for our bed. Now we can put the mattress back down.
Alas, our finished bed. So if you liked our build on the Canopy house bed, be sure to give us a thumbs up. Want to see more of our videos? Consider subscribing down below. And as usual, come back and see me real soon.